Sextortion cases are exploding, and I'm seeing more and more clients who are being extorted when they reveal personal information about themselves when they are acting out sexually. This is probably one of the most serious podcasts that I've ever done, and it's one of the few times that I'm actually operating from a place of fear. Be afraid. Be very afraid. What you're going to learn today is shocking and scary. In this lesson, I'm going to define sextortion. I'm going to highlight why it's become such a significant issue. And I'm going to talk about why sex addicts are so vulnerable to sex extortion schemes. I'm also going to highlight real life sextortion cases that my clients and clients of providers of which I'm aware of have experienced so you can make better choices. And finally, I'm going to tell you what to do if you are sextorted, okay? So first, a little bit about me. As a former sex and porn and drug addict myself, I have done it all. The worst form of sextortion that I experienced, though, was occasionally getting ripped off a couple of times when I was out of my mind, at my low point, and putting myself in compromising situations. And over the past decade, I've had the incredible privilege of working almost exclusively with men struggling with sex and porn addiction and who unfortunately make terrible decisions and in some cases are getting sextorted. Because of the strength of my program and my legal and executive background, for those of you who don't know, I'm an attorney who practiced for 17 years. And because my program doesn't create a medical record that needs to be disclosed at other times, I worked and had the privilege to work with some of the most successful men on the planet. High profile, high net worth clients presenting sometimes with significant public relations issues and extortion issues. So listen, I know what I'm talking about. You do not have to be wealthy to be extorted. This applies to everyone. Disclaimer, obviously I'm a coach, but I'm not your coach. And nothing in this podcast or in this broadcast should be construed as legal advice. I'm an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. If you are being extorted for sexual reasons, please get help. Disclaimer number 2, I want to reiterate this point because I know we've got some listeners here who've been listening to me for over a decade. Everyone who has been listening to my podcast knows that I rarely, if ever, operate from a place of fear or shame. This is bad, that's bad. Like, I don't do that. I want to empower you to make healthy and good decisions. But I do hope to scare you during this podcast. The consequences are significant and the consequences are very real. And the rate of those consequences materializing has exploded. And let's talk about a little bit about that. So, listen. There is no reason to expose yourself to getting extorted simply to get off. It is never worth it. I have personally witnessed men being brought to the brink of suicide. They lost jobs. They lost their wives. They lost the respect of their children. They lost friends. Heck, I lost friends and I wasn't extorted. Others have been kicked out of their churches and temples, which completely baffles me, whatever happened to grace and forgiveness. These men wish they were dead. Now, I'm talking about my clients only, right? And I'm aware of several cases through my connections with other providers of men who have killed themselves or tried to, okay? Now, I want to say another thing too before we dive in and define what sextortion is. Sextortion involving children is beyond the scope of this podcast. However, I have an important lesson to all you parents. First of all, most of the sextortion cases involve children. My clients are adults, so I'm going to be directing my remarks to my adult clients, but please, If you are a parent and your kids are online, and that is like just about everybody, you must create a safe place for them to come to you if they make a mistake. Why? Because kids do stupid things. If they don't come to you, the rate of suicide increases significantly. So my message to you parents is to please, please, please create a safe place for your children. Now, what is sextortion? Sextortion is a form of blackmail in which a perpetrator threatens to reveal intimate or sexually explicit information, images, or videos about a victim unless they are paid a sum of money. This coercion typically involves manipulating or exploiting the victim's fear of social stigma, legal consequences, or damage to their personal and professional reputation. The extortionist may gain access to the sensitive material through hacking, through deceitful interactions, or by posing as a romantic interest or a sugar baby or an escort online. The risks are so much greater now than they were 5 years ago, and we're going to talk about that. But let's do a personal risk assessment. The risks are so severe. I want you to, let's take this moment and use it as an opportunity to self-reflect. I want you to think about, what if you were a bad actor? How would you exploit some of your stupid mistakes? What have you done? What activities have you engaged in that have made, what activities have you engaged in that have made yourself vulnerable to an extortion claim? Let me ask you some questions, right? And I want you to think about this. Have you ever shared a picture of your face or body or genitals with anyone you met online? Maybe that person was an escort. Maybe that person was a sugar baby. Maybe that person was someone you were just looking to have a good time with. Did you receive pictures from them? Here's an extortion claim that people don't really realize. Can you guarantee with absolute certainty that the person on the other end of your communication cannot claim that they are under 18? Can you prove it to the police or prosecutor that the images that you received aren't from someone that isn't over 18? We're going to talk about some of those specific crimes in a minute. Have you ever used your personal cell phone number to talk or text to someone that you shouldn't be talking to, right? Cheating on your wife, flirting with somebody online. How about this, right? For my guys who see escorts or go to massage parlors or meet up with sugar babies, have you ever signed up? Oh, have you ever driven to a sexual encounter in your car with your license plate exposed? What about the VIN number on your dashboard? There are so many ways for people to get personalized information about you. Here's another one. Have you ever signed up for a sugar baby site or a hookup app using your real email address or that account being connected to your phone? Let me ask you this question. Do these sites ever get hacked? Ashley Madison was hacked. Grindr was hacked. And these are two of the biggest sites out there where people are doing nefarious things and lying and cheating on their husband and their wife. Now, I'm talking most about husbands because most of my clients are men. Obviously, everything I share today applies to women as well. Have you ever hooked up with someone in a store parking lot, but there are tons of cameras and security? This is an ample opportunity for a bad actor to record you in your car. I have been helping men struggling with compulsive sexual behavior for 12 years. For 8 of those years, I might have had one claim involving extortion. And we're talking thousands of people from 30 countries all over the world. One claim. And now it is so prevalent, it is so common that I have built it in to my onboarding process to make sure I'm asking the right questions because there's so much shame around this issue. So first I incorporated the question for guys who were cheating with escorts, massage parlors, sugar babies, affair partners. But the porn guys now get that same question too, or a similar question, because rates of sextortion have skyrocketed. And let's look at some real data. So there has been a global increase in sextortion reports. In 2023, NCMEC, the cyber tip line received 26,718 reports, a jump up from 10,700 reports in 2022, and up from 139 reports in 2021. Why? Because people make themselves vulnerable when they're hiding, when they're sneaking, when they're acting out online. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, reported sextortion cases have significantly increased in recent years. In 2021, there were over 18,000 complaints of sextortion reported, with total losses exceeding 13.6 million, and this represents a sharp increase from previous years. Between 2019 and 2021, there was a 65% increase in reported sextortion cases. And here's the thing, most of these cases go unreported. This is a growing trend in this particular type of crime. And listen, it's not just limited to the United States. It is a growing global issue. This is a money grab by organized crime. Europol reported a 70% increase in reported sextortion cases across Europe from 2019 to 2022. Most of those cases are part of organized crime syndicates that operate internationally, often targeting victims across borders. The rates of sextortion in my practice has jumped immensely. I want to quickly talk about the psychology behind sextortion and why guys who are acting out sexually behind the backs of their wives are so vulnerable. And it is very, very simple. This is not going to be some complex psychological analysis. Shame, secrecy, and low self-esteem. Men acting out sexually are obviously more vulnerable to extortion. Why? Because we're stupid. We do stupid things. We have an incredible ability to compartmentalize. We want to show off. Do you know how many people that I saw when I doing things that I wasn't supposed to do, telling them I was an attorney, I worked downtown, here's the building that I worked in. I wasn't revealing any detailed, personalized information about myself. At least I thought that, but of course I would. I absolutely was revealing personal information about myself. We as men think it's not going to happen to ourselves. We convince ourselves the other person is trustworthy. Do you know how many times I have to give the guy this face? This face, you can, if you're listening, you can imagine what this face looks like. The face is, seriously? Right? And listen, I work with highly intelligent, highly competent people. And the guy's telling me that, no, the person he just met online a week ago, they're certain that they're not going to be an extortion target. The level of certainty fades away quickly when they realize that there are intelligence experts who have been duped, who have been sextorted. They are trained to make sure they don't do anything that's going to compromise their mission, and they've been fooled. The spy landscape is replete with instances. The honeypot using women to extract information from men, because when we are acting out, when we are lying, when we are hiding, when we are horny, we make terrible, terrible decisions. Okay? We really do stupid things. And I hope this lesson inspires you to think about what you're doing and to stop doing really, really, really stupid things that could destroy your life, destroy your family, Now, listen, people come back from this. So if you're listening to this, your life does not have to be destroyed. Okay. You will get through this. This has become such a common thing now. You will get through it. Get the right help, find the right resources, someone who's been there, someone who's led other people through this crisis before. You'll get through it, right? So I want to be careful as I'm painting this doom and gloom scenario. I know there's probably some people listening who are paying, who are giving money to people who are extorting them. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay. So I want to give you a risk management formula. I used to manage risk for $1 billion company until they fired me because I was out of my mind and acting out and tried to hurt myself and was hospitalized and screwing around with prostitutes. But I learned a lot in that role before I was terminated. People who manage risk have a formula. The formula is risk equals frequency times severity. So frequency is how often something occurs. Here, we have very low frequency. There are trillions of transactions and sexting and camming and escort sites, sugar daddy sites, hookup apps, porn sites, both mainstream and not, billions, possibly trillions of communication. So even though sextortion rates are skyrocketing, the frequency is still very, very low. Most people don't get extorted twice, right? So we've got a low frequency. Does that mean we do not take action? No, it does not mean that we do not take action, because let's look at severity. Severity means if the event did occur, how bad is it when it occurs? Possibly getting prosecuted, losing your wife, losing your family, losing your job, your secret sex life being exposed online, resulting in all those things happening, possibly your life, since this is when people hurt themselves. They shouldn't and don't. You will get through this. I promise you will get through this. High severity. Low frequency because it only happens once. But if it does happen, it is an absolute disaster. And anybody who has been through this, and I know some of you listening who are going through it or who have been through it, know exactly what I'm talking about and how it feels when you get that text message. I have pictures of you in compromising situations. Either you give me money or I'm going to reveal those pictures to everyone that's close to you. All right. So this is a disaster. Now, let's look at some of the common sextortion type cases. First one we'll talk about is the hotel trap. So the man visits an escort at a hotel or an affair partner, sugar baby, someone he's met online. And of course, he drives up in his car. His car has a license plate. His car has his exposed VIN number on the dash. And maybe he's texting this person on his cell phone, not realizing that his cell phone is connected to social media accounts online. From there, they can automatically extract so much information about you. And there are other sites that are actually displaying your phone number, even if you do not have social media accounts. So after the encounter, the man receives threats to expose him. Here's one of the threats they receive. They tell him, hey, the person you were just with, she was under 18. If you don't pay me, I'm going to go to the police. Can you imagine going to the police and having to explain this? Hi, officer. I just paid. I'm a married man. I just paid to solicit a prostitute, and they are saying terrible things about me. And they're alleging that the person that I just had sex with was under 18. Can you believe that? I want to prosecute them. Can you help me? A freaking nightmare. Now, whether or not this is the angle, they essentially have compromised information of you, sometimes recording you in the room, right? Think of the risks that we're taking, brothers. That's the point, one of the points of this lesson. Think of the risks that you are taking. Think about your exposure. People who manage risk, think about exposure. Low frequency, ridiculously high severity. Okay? Now, I'm aware of one case where this happened at massage parlors. I'm going to leave out the details for fear of revealing any personal identifiable information. But trust me, nothing is safe. Cameras get hacked, websites get hacked, credit card processors can get hacked. Now, here's another one, right? Let's say you are a fisher. A fisher is the guy who watches porn compulsively and lies to his wife about it, but he also calls escorts. He goes online, goes on the websites, not realizing that most of them are scam websites, and he's going to call the person, text them on the phone, just fishing. He doesn't intend to catch anything. He's going to throw that fish back. He's not even going to reel it in. Okay? He calls the person, wastes the person time. 2 minutes later, there's a call from a very aggressive man. This guy's going to get pictures texted to him of children being mutilated, people being killed, horrible pictures that they find online. And this dude gets threatened for wasting the person's time. Now they have to pay. If they do not pay, personal information, maybe the guy exchanged pictures, because you won't believe, well, yes, you would. Of course, you know. You're listening to this podcast because you know how stupid you've been and some of the risks that you've taken to get off. It's not worth it. And then I mentioned, how do you know you're not being recorded in the hotel room or the massage parlor, right? There's cameras everywhere these days. Here's another one. Now, most sextortion cases start online, obviously, social media, flirty texting sites, things of that nature. The man engages in explicit conversations with someone he met online. Okay? Sometimes he uses his personal cell phone. Other time he uses an account. Other times he reveals personal information about himself because, well, we'll get to this in the psychology part, but we're insecure. We love attention. We want people to know how great we are, and we think that it can't happen to us. Okay? So he sends photos, only be blackmailed for money by the other party who threatens to send the images to his family and employer. Or here's the other one. The person claims, oh my God, we've been texting for 3 or 4 days. You're not going to believe this. I'm under 18. My uncle saw my text messages and he's a drunk. He's a really problem guy. He's going to go to the police if we don't pay him off. Okay? Here's the thing about paying off extortionists. It never stops. It absolutely never stops. Here's the other one, the phishing scam. There's a few others that we're going to get to. So the man receives a message from someone posing as a love interest. This happens to a lot of elderly men on Facebook, elderly women too, but elderly men are my clients. After exchanging explicit content, not fully informed regarding the challenges of being online, not really knowing the rules on what to do and what not to do, he's contacted by someone claiming to be law enforcement. Either you pay because you've broken the law, you're having this, dirty talk, you're threatening this woman, and you have to pay a fine. They really convince the person that they're real. And this is heartbreaking. It is so sad when I talk to someone on the phone who is reaching out. They're already feeling shame. They've sunk to lows that they never thought they'd imagine they'd sink to. They thought this was an innocent way to get off, and now they're being extorted. Why is it so common? This is easy. It's so common because, one, we can be really stupid when we're horny, when we're hiding, and when we're out of integrity. We are insecure. We reveal personal things about ourselves. We show parts of our face or we show parts of our body, not realizing how sophisticated the technology is, especially if you're being extorted by someone connected with organized crime, which is increasing more and more. Here's another scam. It's called a hack, right? So according to a 2019 report by Beasley Insurance Company's Breach Response Services, emails claiming to have such evidence. So here's the scam, right? You're flirting with somebody. I got pictures of you doing all these terrible things. I have hacked your account. Click here to see all the horrible things that I have stolen from your account. It contains a zip file, which they claim is video proof. And this spreads malware. This spreads a virus or ransomware used by hackers to lock the computer, access data, steal financial information. It is a nightmare. But imagine the temptation, right? I have stolen, I'm the hacker or I'm the bad actor, and you get the message or the email or the text. Some texting services allow you to send zip files, or message exchange systems allow you to exchange zip files or other files that are purported to be something than other, purported to be something that they are not. And I've stolen this from your video. I've hacked into your cameras. I got pictures of you doing this, doing that. Here they are. They're all attached here in this zip file. Boom, the person clicks on the zip file. Their entire account is compromised. I'm not going to get really deep into the legal and social ramifications, but I do want to say, obviously, it sucks. It's a nightmare. It brings people to their knees. A very powerful wake-up call. But please, I hope you use this information to stop making really, really bad decisions. If you are a high net worth individual or someone in the public eye, you should definitely be exploring cyber insurance. More and more insurance coverages are being designed to not only cover these kinds of losses, but also provide you for support when something like this happens. And I'm seeing more and more mention of it. I don't know if it's actually bled into homeowners policies, but you're going to see more and more of these types of coverages pop up, the more and more people suffer from these problems. I now want to talk about how to protect yourself. This is simple. Don't do it. Never share personal information or explicit content online with anyone. This is especially true if you're in a relationship, more especially true if you're married. Be a leader. Be proactive. Address those issues. Whatever issues you think you're having in your relationship, address those issues. If you are out of control and you're making terrible decisions, get help. Get help, right? This is not your destiny. You're better than this. This is not what you want to be doing long term. It is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. Please, please, please get help. Now, I'm going to give you some steps that you can take to protect yourself and your assets, but it is critically important for me to note that every situation is different. This is for educational purposes only and is not in any way meant to provide even advice or legal advice, because every case is different, which is why it's so important for some people to get professional help. But here are the general rules. And if you go online and read, what do I do if I'm being extorted? You'll see these general guidelines. Number one, don't pay. Almost all of these cases are empty threats. Even if it's a credible threat and the person does have information about you, I've seen a number of people pull the old AI scam. These are AI. These aren't me. I'm being extorted, right? They got ahead of it. They hired a crisis PR firm and gave them that advice. I'm seeing that advice being given a couple of times. So this is a business for them. If you pay, they're not going away. But if you don't pay and you resist the temptation to think that this is going to solve your problem, it's not. They literally think about lifetime customer value. If you've paid once, you'll pay again. Don't pay. Second, keep all communications with the extorter. Screenshot them and build a record. Third, report online extortion. There is a cyber tip line, report.cybertip.org or takeitdown.ncmec.org. And you can also report the incident to law enforcement and your local FBI office. And often an attorney locally can help you make that right decision. Next, tell someone close to you what happened. You need support. Extortion thrives in secret. You tell the people you care about what happened, that you made a mistake. They may or may not forgive you, but it'll take this burden off your back, which is an absolute nightmare. Next, stop all contact with the offender. Go dark. Now, if you have cyber insurance, call your insurance company. They might be able to help you. Talk to an attorney. Call a PR crisis firm if you're someone who's in that kind of a position. There are people out there who can help. I'm one of those people, and I can also refer you to other resources. Now, if you paid, contact your payment provider to see if you can cancel or dispute those transactions. And most importantly, well, not most importantly, but also very important, get help. Make sure none of this happens. For those of you guys who've been acting out, sneaking, lying, hiding for years, you hobbyists out there, times have changed. The chances of you being extorted because you've made yourself vulnerable is skyrocketing. Get help. Whether it's with me, if you want help with me, visit my website, mindfulhabithelp.com. There's a way to schedule an appointment with me. There's a way to access some free resources. You're listening to me on my podcast, Sex Afflictions and Porn Addictions, or on my YouTube channel. We're always going to put links to other resources as well, working with a local counselor, working with a therapist, working with someone who's trained in these kinds of issues. Get help. Get help. You can address the shame. You can feel good about yourself. You can stop punishing yourself. There's this sabotage part that I had, that some of you had, making it worse, taking more risk, taking more risk until it blows up, because that's what you feel you deserve. You feel like a worthless piece of shit. Doesn't matter. It does matter. The crazy news is, the good news is that if you do this right, this becomes one of those phoenix from the ashes moment. This is your awakening. This is your call to action. Now it's time to look in the mirror and reflect on what exposures you are creating for your family, your wife who doesn't deserve this, and yourself. Please take proactive steps to protect yourself. Make good decisions. Life is too short to suck. Embrace your power of choice and feed the right wolf inside you. If we can help, visit my website, www.mindfulhabithelp.com, and I hope to talk to you soon. Good luck, everybody. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.